Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. I'm Nathan Cotney, and I want to talk to you today about persuasion, especially when dealing with some of your toughest customers. So we have this situation here at Highrise where we have something called Broadcast. It's our bulk email service, and we debuted this, I don't know, roughly half a year ago now, a few months ago. And it gives people in Highrise the ability to send bulk email newsletters. And so this is just a new feature, doesn't cost anything extra to people who've been using Highrise, our CRM product, for years. But we've bumped into this situation where, we are sometimes forced to pause people's accounts because spam complaints come back and they're too high, or bounces come back and they're too high. And when people start marking your email as spam or bounces start coming in, those receiving email servers get really angry, say Gmail, and Gmail won't want to receive any more mail from us anymore. So to keep the delivery rates of our email very high for the majority of our customers, sometimes we have to tell certain customers, look, your email is not performing very well. People are marking it as spam, or it's bouncing quite a bit. You have a very old list. We have to tell them, look, we have to pause your ability to send email. They don't like hearing that. One of the first reactions we get is, but I'm not a spammer. This email doesn't have anything to do with drugs or sex or casinos. I'm just emailing people I've done business with in the past. It doesn't matter, right? In Google's eyes, in Gmail's eyes, all they're looking for is the number of people who are hitting that spam button, that reject button. And it's almost, they're agnostic to what the content of the email is when someone hits that spam complaint. And so whenever we get these numbers of spam complaints, we have to look at the account. We have to take some action and pause some people's accounts. And sometimes we simply have to say, look, we're going to have to pause your account. And then it makes some of our customers angry. Some of our customers who've been doing business with us for years and who never even had this feature before, now they quit because we've angered them about how we've handled having to deal with their account when it's sending too much spam or sending too many bounces. Is there anything we can do? What can we do about it? So I've been, something is kind of been on my mind recently. I've been, so my wife and I, we have breakfast with my 2-year-old daughter every morning. We read the paper together. We even share our breakfast together. My daughter loves to eat stuff from my plate. I can't get her to stop. So she, though, however, she eats a pretty good, even today. She ate a really great breakfast. Every now and then, she'll just announce after her breakfast that she wants a jelly bean. And so we're not the epitome of, everything is organic and we only eat vegetables every meal, but we don't eat candy for breakfast. That's kind of a rule. But so we announced to my daughter, no jelly beans for breakfast, and she just melts down. She starts crying and yelling, and it's just like, oh my God, we were having a perfect morning, a perfect breakfast, and now she's melting down at the breakfast table. What can we do? And so I've been thinking a lot about persuasion, and especially in this political climate, right, where you try to talk to people who have opposing viewpoints of you, whether you're Republican or Democrat, whatever, and you see people so angry they just can't communicate. Is there any way to kind of break through this stuff? And so these two guys, let me look up their names so I don't butcher them, but a guy named, it's Brendan Nyhan and Jason Reifler. They gave this effect a name. They call it the Backfire Effect. And they were doing this research about basically how to contradict people. So they did this one interesting study. They've done a number of these, but one of them was interesting where they gathered a group of people who label themselves as conservatives. And they gave this whole group of conservatives a fake news article that said, before the U.S. invasion of Iraq, the most recent invasion of Iraq, the U.S. thought they had weapons of mass destruction, right? Across the world, you probably know, the U.S. invaded under the premise that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and the U.S. was going to go in and remove these weapons. Now, most people understand that no weapons of mass destruction have been found. So that seems to be fact. However, so they gave this group of conservatives a fake news article that said weapons of mass destruction had been found previous to the invasion of Iraq, so that George Bush did have valid, grounds to go in to kind of relieve Saddam Hussein weapons of mass destruction. Then he took half the conservatives and he gave them a correction, and he gave them a correction that said, "Oops, nope, that was a mistake. Iraq did not have weapons of mass destruction. Sorry about that, we're making a correction. Then he asked these groups of conservatives, what do they believe that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction? It turns out the group that got the contradiction, that got the evidence, the fix, the correction, that said, look, Iraq didn't have weapons of mass destruction, they were now more likely to believe that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Now that's interesting, right? I mean, you've given them evidence, or something that seemed factually correct according to this article. And if you hadn't even said anything at all, they would have been less likely to believe that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. It doesn't really make sense, but when you think about it and you think about your feelings to things, when people contradict you, when people say no, that's not true, or when people say no, you can't have something, you want it even more. Turns out you even believe it even more. So thinking about this, and my daughter with this jelly bean, I was thinking, okay, how can I go about this approach very differently? How can I not contradict her desire, her belief that she should get a jelly bean? So instead of saying no jelly beans, I said, look, honey, I want a jelly bean too. In fact, I want ice cream. I want a lot of fun stuff in the morning. And so her eyes, she stopped crying immediately. Her eyes just got wide. And now she said, Daddy, ice cream's in the freezer. I'll go get it. And she starts getting out of her chair. And it was like, oh no, did I cause yet a new problem? But I kind of stopped her and said, but wait, but I choose not to have ice cream and jelly beans for breakfast. I can't have them for breakfast because it's not healthy for me. I try and have a really great start to my day. I even eat salads in the morning so that I can have that best meal at morning. So that's why I don't eat candy, honey. That's why we don't eat things like candy. And all of a sudden, she was just different. The meltdown was over. She listened to me. She asked why a couple times about my decision making, and she just moved on. We avoided this whole crisis. I thought, okay, is this a fluke? Turns out the next day she started asking for a treat again, and I did the same thing. I said, look, I want a treat too. Here's some reasons why I don't have treats in the morning, and she kind of asked me why a few more times, and it was like I was breaking through to her in a new way that I feel like I haven't before. And it dawned on me, another company that I do business with actually just did this with me recently. I had emailed a company, a company I use for a side project of mine called Indeniro. The side project is called Draft. I use Indeniro to do all my accounting and bookkeeping. Something that Indeniro did recently kind of upset me, and I emailed them back. I emailed their customer support person back, and I said, look, I'm not happy, yada, yada. I won't go through the details, but that customer support person sent me an email back that said, I understand. I would be angry in your situation too. Here's why we think the bad stuff happened, and here I think we can fix it in the future. What's interesting about the email is nothing had actually been fixed. The problem still remains. The thing I was actually upset about still existed, and I still had to fix some stuff and correct some stuff because of this problem. But I was so much happier with them. I was cooled down. It was so nice to get an email like this, that this customer support person understood me. They said I was right, that I was right to feel this way. And so now Indeniro has actually fixed this problem. There's a really great post that Indeniro put out to some of their customers about some things that they've changed. Obviously, they really listened to customer feedback, so they've won some new loyalty from me. But it was amazing, this customer support email that I got, and what effect it had on me, because we get customer support emails all the time that say things like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry we didn't do a good job. Hopefully we can do it better in the future. And you're left being like, what was that? It sounded like a robo response, and it's total bullshit. This wasn't. So it's dawned on me that maybe we need a new approach with some of our customers who are really not agreeing with us about maybe some of the things that we have to do to make things better for the majority of our customers, especially when sending out bulk email. So I tried this recently. A customer had complained about, I sent an onboarding email that had 3 instructional videos inside this onboarding email that said, hey, if you really want some nice in-depth instruction, these 3 videos are great. And he tweeted to all of his followers that there's no way he's going to get started with HiRes if he has to watch 3 videos. And it was kind of this embarrassing tweet for me. So I tweeted back at him and I said, look, I tried to take this new approach. I said, look, I understand. You're right. I wouldn't watch 3 onboarding videos myself. You're totally right. But we do put them out there for people who want really visual, in-depth hand-holding. But I also said, and I agree with you, I really probably should change the way I phrase this stuff in my onboarding email to make it seem like you don't have to watch these things. They're just there if you really want them. But, HiRes is one of those things you can just get started with without the manual. When I told him this stuff, he replied, that I was doing this great job, and he deleted the tweet. It was just this really nice moment because I really did think he was right. He brought up a really great point, and now I've changed the way I word some of these onboarding emails about videos that we have. And I wanted to let him know that, and you know, that we're, you know, at this, you know, we really actually see things maybe the same way. And so now we have this new path, I think, that we can take with some of our harshest critics about some of the things that we have to do to, say, maintain the high delivery rates that we have with something like bulk email. And it's not going to work all the time, but I think this lesson from my 2-year-old, from our customers, has really taught me something that, you know, now I can understand how to keep conversations maybe a little bit more open-minded, and kind of, you know, get into a conversation without directly kind of contradicting someone and kind of maybe even having that backfire effect. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been awesome. Subscribers to the YouTube channel are growing like crazy, and I just need, I think, 19 more before we start investing in some better cameras and some lighting. So please subscribe, please tell your friends and share the channel, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.